I'm Monica Steinling, Director of Development for 616 Development, and I'm joined by John Helmholt, the Executive Director of Communications and External Affairs for Grand Rapids Public Schools. Before we jump in, I'd like to point out and thank the Osteria Rosa for having us here, providing the location, and we'll get started. John, one of the reasons I love talking to you is that about Grand Rapids Public Schools is I feel like you have such a passion for not only the schools but also the community. 616 Development has such a passion for creating community, and one of the ways we approach this is through the process of neighborhood revitalization. Our thought is through connecting with neighborhoods, local business owners, also different organizations in the neighborhood, that we're able to revitalize a neighborhood and work together to make the neighborhoods better for all. What would you say that GRPS's role in neighborhood revitalization process would be?
It's huge. I think that's been part of the conversation that our superintendent, Teresa Weatherall-Neal, has really brought to this city. With the GRPS transformation plan, we've talked about the role of Grand Rapids Public Schools and what it means to this city, what it means to the neighborhoods, what it means to the downtown. The future growth and success of GRPS is not just an education issue or a citywide issue. It is an economic development issue. It is a workforce development, and it's a neighborhood revitalization issue. Strong neighborhoods, strong schools go hand in hand. We know if we want Grand Rapids to be the best mid-sized city in America, you've got to have a strong public school system that runs side saddle to all the amazing things that are happening in here. And that's what the GRPS transformation plan is about. It's about investing for growth. It's about reconnecting with our neighbors, reconnecting with the city, and really becoming a partner again. For far too long, we went through 20 years of cuts, closures, consolidations, churn. It just wasn't a happy place, and we lost touch with our neighbors. We lost touch with the community, and we've regained that in the last 3 years. And that's one of the reasons why you've seen such a turnaround. You know, best count day in 2 decades. Graduation rates increased by 5%. Chronic absenteeism down by 25%. Bond rating improved from negative to stable in the middle of a recession. WallaHub.com just rated us the second most efficient school system in America based on how we spend dollars and the return we get academically. So we've got a great story to tell, and our role in this community and with partnering with 616 and with neighborhood associations and others is vital. We need to really change the conversation citywide so people recognize the value that we have for the city and for the neighborhoods.
What do you think along that same process and coming into neighborhoods? There's so many new developments and ideas and thoughts coming in from everybody that live in the neighborhoods about the schools that are there. What do you think the best way, or as a part of that process, how does GRPS, what's maybe one of the first ways for you to connect in a neighborhood?
Sure. You know, we've been piloting an approach in East Hills neighborhood, and it's based on a neighborhood school revitalization effort that came out of Chicago, a school called Nettlehurst. And it's where the neighborhood really reclaimed their neighborhood school, and the school reopened their doors to the neighborhood. They reconnected. And I think that's part of it is just simply opening the doors.
Yeah.
And not just the school opening the doors, but the neighborhood coming to the door. Far too often I talk to people that'll say something negative about one of our schools or about us. I say, have you ever visited the school? And they say, well, no, actually I haven't. Well, how can you judge a book by its cover without getting into it? And every single time we found it, when there's neighborhood leaders, parents, politicians, we get them inside our schools, they meet with our parents, they meet with our kids, and they fall in love. It's hard not to.
Getting in the door and being involved.
Absolutely. That's the part where I think it's, we have the best, most dynamic teachers, bar none, in this entire region. If you think of the demographics, the dynamics that these teachers were working with 50 different countries represented in our student population, 54 different languages spoken, 86% free and reduced lunch, 25% English language learners, 25% special education.
Yeah.
These teachers are super teachers, and they have to differentiate for every single child in that classroom, and they're very good at it. And I think that's where individuals, once they get to know the school leaders, the teachers, they get in. It's hard not to kind of fall in love, but far too often people just read what they hear on Wood TV, and it's a sensationalized report of one small incident that does not reflect the overall progress and growth within the district. So I think that's really our message is come schedule a tour, meet the principal, get to know the people, and consider it as an option. If you don't choose one of our schools, we will gladly help a family find a school. We want what's best for the child. If they're not with us, then we're going to say, look, we have partners here and there. We suggest you go check them out.
Awesome. You mentioned a couple of statistics about where the state of the public school is right now. What do you feel that some of the most common misconceptions are currently, and then what can we as a community do? What message can we get out there to our friends and neighbors, maybe statistics or something that can help change that perception?
Two things, really. One, safety. I far too often hear, oh, the schools aren't safe. Yet there is no statistic to back it up. That is based largely on a handful of stories that come out through the year where in previous years that people remember. Several years ago, there was one incident where a child brought a weapon to school and it got all over the media. Those things are largely false perceptions. In fact, for the last 5 years in a row, we've seen our safety rates improve significantly. If you think to just this last school year, there have not been any major incidents. There's not big headlines about these incidents, and it's because we've got the best school safety team. We have the best trained teachers in the region. In fact, we received a federal Homeland Security grant to train the trainers. So GRPS has been training the public and private schools in the region because our people are the best at what they do. And so I think safety is one of those. And the second thing would be the perception that it's academically challenged or academically unsuccessful, and some would say it's a failing school or failing district. And I would just say, by whose standard? If you're going to go by a one-size-fits-all test that does not account for any of the X factors that impact a child's academic growth, then you're not giving us a real fair shot. If you go in and you peel it back, ask about the MAP scores, our student growth scores. Ask about the different levels of support that the children have, all the extra support services that we layer on for children, regardless of their age, their income, their ability, their native language. We have services far above and beyond what any other district really in this region can provide. And so those are things that I also think when you peel it back further, you'll see, guess what? We're home to the top performing high school in all of West Michigan, the second highest in the entire state, City High Middle School. We have 3 other schools that are in the top 1% performing schools in the entire state of Michigan. North Park Montessori is a K-8 school that outperforms most of the suburban elementary schools. So you've got to step back. Don't look at one-size-fits-all test scores. Don't look at one-size-fits-all graduation rates. There's another great example where the way that the state formulates the graduation rate is inherently stacked against a high-needs, high-poverty district, especially a district like ours that has an alternative education program. We serve all the students in Kent County Jail. Any student, no matter where they come from, wherever they lived before, their new residence is now the Kent County Jail. Therefore, they're within the GRPS school district, and they're on our books. We proudly serve those students and all students in alternative ed, but it has an impact on our graduation rate.
Sure.
Our graduation rate's right about 50%. If you took the alternative ed out and did just our traditional high schools, our graduation rate is nearly 80%. That's on par with, it's just above the state average, and it's on par with other surrounding districts. So it's really how you look at the data and peel it back. And I think for us, the other thing would be is just be part of the solution.
Sure.
It's easy to cast stones and talk badly about things. It's another to go in and be part of fixing it, creating opportunity, and that's what the transformation plan is about. How do we open those doors up and bring people along?
You mentioned earlier an initiative that we kind of mimicked through Congress Elementary with another school outside of Michigan. How would you say that we rank in accordance with other urban school districts in kind of the plan and initiatives for moving forward?
Yeah, I think we are emerging as a national model. The GRPS transformation plan is achieving almost everything it sought out to do. We said we were going to do 3 key things. We're going to reinvest in what's working. Our theme schools, our centers of innovation, our neighborhood schools. We are opening a new public museum school that had 160 applicants for 60 slots. We're expanding the CA Frost Environmental Science High School, the dual immersion high school. And as a result, we had the single best count day in 2 decades. We are one of the first urban districts, not just in Michigan, but across the country, mid-sized urban district, that's stabilizing and on the brink of returning to growth. The vast majority of urban schools have just been on a declining enrollment for 2 decades, as have we. It's flatlined. We expected to lose 400 kids. We only lost 27 this year. That's unheard of in urban ed. From fall to spring, typically an urban district loses, 100, 200 students. One year we lost as much as 500 just between fall and spring. This year we actually gained 15 kids. Again, unheard of. TheWalletHub.com is another example where we already are known nationally for being good stewards with the taxpayer dollars. So our fiscal management is in order. Our academic management is really improving. We've seen huge growth trends. And so I think that when you compare us to a lot of the other urbans, I think we're starting to be trendsetters. Parent University is another example. First of its kind in Michigan, one of maybe a dozen in the country, where we offer parent courses open to anyone, not just GRPS parents, parents from the whole region. And it's courses to learn about effective parenting, how to navigate the education system, finance and health and well-being, and it's going gangbuster. Hundreds of parents have participated, and so we're very proud to be reaching that turning point where we're about to achieve growth, which with growth comes that stability. I think that's a key piece of we've had 20 years of declining enrollment, cuts, closures. We cut $100 million out of our budget. We closed 35 schools. We eliminated 1,000 jobs, including 600 teaching positions. We had nuclear-style negotiations. All of this churn just exacerbated our enrollment problem as well as our academic problem, which then created this kind of vicious cycle. Well, we're finally coming out of that. And a lot of other urban districts across the state and country are now looking to say, wow, what did they do in Grand Rapids?
What's happening? Well, what's the easiest way to find out more information or get connected, get involved through website or calling the school?
GRPS.org is our main website. I'd say call the communications department. We're at 819-2149, or call my cell phone. It's 481-2152. It's on our website. I give it out to everyone, day, night, or weekend. Anyone has questions, concerns, issues, they call.
Well, I appreciate that, and at 616, we appreciate connecting with community and finding other people that are involved, so I definitely appreciate that, and we're happy to be involved in it whatever way we can as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Are we out of anything or low on anything, or is there an outside anything as well? Or?
Cheers.